Dog brings cub from the forest. Months later, owner discovers what it was. Dog takes home a puppy it found in the middle of the forest. Months later, the owner discovered that the animal was not what he thought it was. What was this animal? Did we make you super curious? So already leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and let's go to the video. Today's story takes place in Poland, an Eastern European country, and was told by a man named Nicky on an internet forum. Nicky owns a dog named Milo, which is a Labrador Retriever. The man has the privilege of living near a forest, and he even has the habit of going for a walk in the middle of nature with Milo. One day, Nicky woke up not feeling very well and let Milo go for a walk alone. He was a very smart dog and knew exactly the way home. The Labrador was elated when Nicky opened the front door. Little did he know that his dog would return with a gift that would become very special in his life. Far from home, the Labrador found a puppy and promptly put it in his mouth and walked toward home. Milo arrived with the puppy in his mouth, dropped him gently at the door, and started barking. Nicky knew that when Milo barked, he wanted to make him notice something, and as his friend had a habit of bringing him some present when he came back from the woods, he went to the door to see what he had brought. When he approached and looked at the rug, he was terrified of what his dog brought. It was unlike anything the animal had brought before. The man approached, and when he looked right, he was upset, thinking about how someone had the courage to abandon the puppy. The animal appeared to be so fragile that Nicky didn't think it would survive long. Milo sat down and watched his owner's every move intently. He took the little animal in his hands and began to examine it to see if there was any injury due to his dog taking it between his teeth to the house. The puppy was so small it could fit in the palm of his hand. Suddenly, the animal did something that surprised the man a lot. When having contact with Nicky and feeling his warm hand, he snuggled as if he was enjoying being there. Nicky decided to keep the puppy and named him Ted. It was very difficult for him at first because he wasn't sure how to take care of it. Doing a quick internet search, he found on a forum some tips for taking care of puppies as small as this one. It was quite difficult to feed Ted at first. He used a special little bottle, something like a baby bottle, but he didn't have much skill. Nicky built a wooden frame, covered it with comfortable fabrics, and bought an adjustable heater, which doubled as an incubator. In case you don't know what an incubator is, it's basically a structure that provides the puppy with an environment with the ideal temperature for him to stay warm and comfortable. That was one of the experiences in Nicky's life that he would never forget. For the first few days, he preferred to sleep next to the incubator, and he woke up practically every time to make sure everything was all right. However, it wasn't just Nicky who was taking care of the puppy. Milo was there, like a babysitter, lying next to the structure, licking him like he was his puppy. As the weeks passed, Nicky began to find it a bit strange how the puppy grew up differently than a normal dog. At first, the little one began to show a change in color on its white fur, and in a very short time, all the fur became dark and thick. One day, the little puppy did something unimaginable which terrified Nicky. The man was in the kitchen making lunch and left Ted and Milo alone in the living room. After a few minutes, Milo started barking tirelessly. At that time, Nicky thought something was very wrong, as the Labrador didn't have that habit. He ran to the living room, and when he arrived, he faced an unusual scene. Ted was climbing the door of the room skillfully, and soon after, he jumped on the couch. This would be the first time of many. He started doing it regularly, climbing on cupboards, on doors, and on any other things of high places. Nicky was more and more impressed by how skillful that little animal was and how different he was from anything he'd ever seen. Even without knowing the age of the animal, he decided to take his friend to the vet for the doctor to apply the necessary vaccines. Nicky waited in the waiting room, and some curious looks surrounded him. Many stared at the animal and mentally wondered what it really was. As soon as the man entered the care room, the vet looked at the pet and, with wide eyes, looked again at the file that his secretary had given him, which was marked dog. When Nicky arrived at the clinic, he excitedly told the secretary that Ted was a dog and that he took him to get the necessary vaccinations. However, the man would discover as soon as he entered the doors that it was definitely not a dog, nor even a cat of a different species. It was in fact something he had not imagined. The vet, after analyzing the file and staring for a while at the pet that was on Nicky's lap, began to laugh and amid his laughter said, "This is definitely not a dog. That's a sable." Nicky made a very confused expression at the animal's name, so the vet explained what it was. This animal is known as a sable. It's a very rare wild animal. In addition, this species is mostly found in a certain part of Europe and in some parts of North Asia. The man finally understood why he found that dog so different, so he told the vet how he was found and that he wouldn't sit still. The vet explained that there was no way Nicky could control him or stop him because it's in his nature to be mischievous, and as the animal grew, it would end up breaking everything he had at home. Nicky was advised to take Ted to a place where they took care of wild animals, but the man was already so attached to the pet that he didn't want them to part at all. Over time, they became good friends. Even Milo was happy to have Ted become part of the family. Nicky thought long and hard while keeping Ted with them would be the right decision. When he got home and did a little more research on his little friend, he was sure what he would do. The man was shocked when he discovered that those animals were very valuable to some people. Sadly, some hunters take the lives of these animals to produce coats with their skins and sell them for a very high price. Nicky decided he would stay with Ted. He'd watch him grow, feed him, care for him, just imagining the end the animal could have terrified him. Ted's body was covered in a very shiny and beautiful fur. He would certainly be an easy target for becoming a coat. After a few months, Nicky opted to take an animal training course to get a little better control of Ted. His behavior as he grew up improved significantly, and even though he's mischievous, he obeys Nicky's commands. The man usually takes him for a walk in the forest with him and Milo. Ted's very fond of climbing trees and stays there for a long time, but always returns to Nicky. If it weren't for Milo, surely Ted wouldn't have survived abandoned in the middle of the woods, and Nicky wouldn't have made this special friend. It's really amazing how animals often feel that something is wrong and act immediately. If you were surprised by this story, how about this one in which a young man thought he took a dog home but found out to be something else? Click and watch.